We got lots to talk about from tonight's game in Toronto against Vancouver. Uh, Layers, like onions, Shrek would say. The first period, uh, the pace was tremendous. This game looked and felt like a true late round playoff game. Um, it was, it was a track meet. They were just skate, 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 back and forth, back and forth. They didn't let up. Um, the shots were, and it was kind of like a playoff game too, in that the chances were really low. They really had to fight through it for the chances, and I think the shots in the first half of the period were like 4-2 Toronto, something like that, and there was a stretch of like 8 minutes where there wasn't a shot at all, where it was just continual play without a chance, and no whistles for the longest time either. Like, it was just a really fun game to watch. And it started with a bang too, because if you'll remember the last time the Leafs and the Canucks played, Alexander Edler stuck out his knee on Hyman, and Hyman's been out ever since. So Wayner, the Simmons, made Edler pay the price by beating the shit out of him. It was Wayne Simmons' 64th career fight and Alex Edler's first career fight. And the difference between their experience levels definitely showed. It wasn't a very long fight, but it was a sweet one. He got some good shots in, and Edler had to leave for a while and get some of those little, hold your skin together type bandages on. So that was good. A little don't fuck with us kind of messaging sent there. So yeah, the first period, despite the the quick pace, like I said, there was low chances, but the Leafs were able to crack the Canucks for 1 goal in the first period. It came in the latter half, 15 something minutes in, and it was Willie getting the Leafs on the board. Tavares caused a bit of a turnover off, I think it was Quinn Hughes, kind of in the high slot in the Canucks zone, and the puck kind of bounced up into the air. And when it landed, Galchenyuk had kind of swooped in on the loose puck, and then he just funneled it off to the right side of Holtby, where Willie was waiting, and just bang, sniped it home. 1-0 Leafs. Second period, the rest of the game was very much the same. The pace maybe wasn't quite as frantic as it was in the first, but it would have its moments where it was. It was still, the rest of the way, it was still pretty quick, pretty intense hockey. And in the second, the Leafs blew it open, and it was early on. It was less than a minute in, 51 seconds or something like that. Matthews scored his 36th of the year to put the Leafs up, and it was a pretty nice goal. Thornton funneled the puck over to Marner, who was in the spot where Nylander scored his goal from, and then Marner went cross crease to Holtby's left, where Matthews was waiting, sniped it home, and then the Leafs. Third goal, which was just about 2 minutes after that, just prior to the 3-minute mark, was basically kind of a carbon copy of that goal in a way. I can't remember who it was. Somebody brought the Leafs in over the line on the left wing. And they dropped it to Sandin in the high slot, and then he funneled it over to Holtby's left, where Engvall was waiting, and he just one-timed the puck home. And it was like, I think it took everybody by surprise, because he wasn't that tight in. He was still a fair ways out, but he just placed this perfectly launched shot, like short side top cheese, and I think Holtby thought he had it, but there was a bit of room, and he found it, and there we have 3-1. The Canucks would get on the board on the power play at some point later in that period, 15 minutes something in. And I think it was JT Miller that scored. I don't remember the goal, because I don't really pay much attention to the opposing goals unless they're bad or unique or something. And it was 3-1 Leafs going into the third period. No goals were scored until the very end, and it wasn't an empty netter. The Canucks actually had the net empty with a couple minutes left to play to try and draw it to 3-2, but couldn't get it done. And then they put the goalie back in because I think of maybe a face-off or something like that. And then once Holtby was back in the net, I think it was a dump in or something like that. went in, and Holtby kind of played it back into the left corner to his defenseman, but Kerfoot was on his horse and skated into that corner and just stole the puck before it could get to the Vancouver defenseman, and then quickly shot it out in front of the net where Marner had swooped in, and he just one-touched it home. It was a real bang quick play, but it was a real nice anticipation by Kerfoot, and a good execution too, to pick that puck up real quick that was coming around like that, and then just swoop it out front to Marner, and then it was a hard pass too, so it was a good play by Marner to corral it and get it to go. So and that was 4-1 Leafs, and then it was over. So like I said, it was a very interesting game. It had that playoff vibe, that playoff pace to it. We had a nice bruising fight early on. The physicality was back. Kind of a continuation, like the Montreal game, after those two Winnipeg games, where especially Joe was running around pounding on Ehlers and stuff, and everybody else was into it as well. That Montreal game was kind of a letdown, because I was hoping they'd keep up that physical pace and take it to the Habs, but they kind of got away from that. Tonight it was a little more back to that physicality. So that high pace combined with a more physical style of game was really fun to watch. So that was nice. And then the other big note tonight was the lineup changes. Both Muzzin and Riley didn't play, so two of their very top defensemen, and stepping in was Timothy Liljegren, and their new arrival from Anaheim, Ben Hutton. So and both guys, I don't think they played a ton of minutes, but they looked solid. They didn't make any mistakes that I noticed. They also didn't stand out as being, whoa, look at that game from the right. So, but that's all you want from these. Liljegren's a younger guy who hasn't played that many games for the Leafs yet, but is a very high draft pick of theirs, and is slated for good things. And then Hutton, I'm not too familiar with him, but I think he is that one of those lower pairing type defensemen. So for them to just come into the lineup like that and just be steady and help the team win, that's all you ask for, right, out of those guys. Otherwise on defense, Sandin again had an amazing game. This kid just gets better with each game, so that's really nice to see. And then at forward, Engvall was in, and I can't remember who came out. But there wasn't as much changes up front, but they did start Thornton on the because Foligno was out, that's right. So they started Thornton on the first line with Matthews and Marner, and he played well with them. And then Engvall, of course, came in with Foligno being out, and got some playing time again. So overall it was another good team effort, just like I mentioned about the Montreal game and the Winnipeg games before that. Everybody kind of chipped in their own way, and it was just a good overall team win. And Riddick got the start, not Campbell. So but in the end, Vancouver only managed 16 shots, so it was a pretty easy night overall for Riddick, and he had pretty good numbers to go with it, with just allowing the one goal. So overall, a huge team win. Some new faces into the lineup that haven't played much this year or at all, that are new to the team. And then they go out and limit Vancouver to 16 shots. They play a fast, physical, playoff style game. This to me is all signs pointing towards, okay, we're reaching that, that kind of peak just before the playoffs are going to begin, which is perfect timing, right? So, barring any debilitating injuries or other kind of circumstances, another slump out of the blue, something like that, everything right now is pointing towards, things are looking real good. They got Hyman and Bogosian still out. I think Hyman's supposed to be back before the playoffs begin, but I think Bogosian's a little more long term though, so he may not be back before the playoffs. But they got Sandin, and they're playing really well. So hopefully they're going to have 99% of their roster in place before the postseason begins, right? And if they can continue to play this well and continue to come together like that, it could be a pretty fun playoff run where we're finally going to see them at least get into the first round for the first time in a long time. So But I'll believe it when I see it. But I think this might be the year. So, anyways, that is all for now. They got Montreal next for, I think, maybe 3 games in a row. I don't know if anybody else is staggered in between then, but they got a lot of the Habs coming up. So I can't wait for that. So, until then, I bid you adieu.